The X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, rel-mar McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X Zone, hour number 2 for tonight. And I am still, after 29 years, still Rob McConnell. And we're coming to you from our broadcast center and studio here in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com on all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV. And if you'd like to visit the X Zone Broadcast Network for all the programming we have available, 7/24/365, visit www.xzbn.net. X Zone Nation, my guest tonight is Tinamarie Ronan, and she is a full, and I hope I say this right, Usui Reiki master. She is the creator of Metaphysical Jewelry and Gear. She's the creator of Steampunk Jewelry and Apparel. She's a lecturer and teacher of metaphysical classes. She's a paranormal investigator, metaphysical discussion group leader, director of the Southwest Michigan and Northern Indiana chapter of Psychics Unite, and she is a known slider, and that's a streetlight interference person. She's a third-generation psychic, second-degree black belt, and instructor in Songham Taekwondo. Did I say that right there?
Close. Songham.
And she is a licensed practical nurse, and I have to tell you something. My favorite people in the world are nurses.
Well, thank you.
Because you ladies and gentlemen who are nurses, you do so much more than people will ever know. And the reason I know this for a fact is my wife is a nurse. And you ladies and gentlemen who are nurses are the real unsung heroes of the medical profession. So, Tina, thank you for everything you do.
Appreciate that.
So, Tina, tell us a little bit more about yourself. When did you get started in all of the things you do, and how do you cram 76 hours into every 24-hour period?
I get asked that question a lot. Don't know how I do it other than I don't sleep a lot. I'm just one of those people.
Mm-hmm.
I just do whatever I can every single day and enjoy life as it is.
I love the attitude. Yeah, that works for me too. How did you get involved in the world of the paranormal?
Well, being a third-generation psychic medium, it was just part of life. My grandmother was very much someone who used her gift, and the neighborhood and the surrounding counties knew who she was.
Right.
And she was asked to help out on different things or to find missing things. Mom had the gift but wanted nothing to do with it. But growing up, other than a little bit of help from my grandmother, it was mostly, being back in the 60s and the 70s, shh, you didn't see that. Shh, be quiet, don't tell anybody. But and I kind of just put it aside as a teenager, as most teenagers do. And it wasn't until I was older and had children of my own that the gifts just came flooding back, and there was no more denying them.
Right.
So, yeah.
Second degree black belt and instructor. Who would want to mess with you on either side of the realms?
I did it because my son did it, and my daughter did it, and my husband did it, and they said, Oh, Mom, you couldn't keep up. So
Ooh.
I signed a 2.5-year contract and went further than any of them. So
Good for you. Good for
yeah,
you.
don't tell me I can't do something.
Hey, I'm behaving. I'm behaving over here. Believe me. I can just imagine an unruly patient with you.
No, that's when you pull out the velvet gloves and treat them with respect and love.
Yeah, I've heard about that treatment. Yeah. Cough. What bed sores? Yeah. No, just kidding around here. So tell me about some of your exploits as a paranormal investigator of 16 years plus.
Oh, seems to have done it all and seen it all by now, you would think, hoping there's not anything more that's going to surprise me. I done a lot as a kid, just wanting to know different things, but it wasn't until I was older that I really started getting into it. Just happened upon the Indiana Ghost Trackers. I know for a while they held the world record for the largest interstate ghost hunting group in the country. And sadly, that is no longer the way things are, but they were a great teaching group. So I learned a lot on how to be an investigator and learned how to use equipment, and also gave me the ability to work with other people and teach them how to use equipment. So it was open to the public.
Yeah.
And we brought people in and taught them. That way there's a lot less people doing stupid things out there that they probably shouldn't be doing to begin with. So, yeah.
You know, you don't seem to me to be the person that would jump at anything that happened. But what in your experience doing paranormal investigations, what was the one thing that made the hair on the back of your neck stand up and wish you had your latex gloves with you?
Well, there was one investigation that was actually in my home state of Indiana that I had done, and it was probably the worst one I had ever been on. It was a mother, 2 children. There was a spirit there that was absolutely torturing these children at night, doing all kinds of things to coming out of closets, sliding beds, and you could see where the beds had been slidden. And he was nasty enough, but to go downstairs into their basement, and the minute you walked down the basement, everybody, I don't care who you were, the hair on your arms and the back of your neck went up. It was just that electrifying. The whole air was just ready. There was something was going to happen. And originally we had gone down there and done some EVP with a couple people, and what had shown up just seemed okay. Nothing really bad or anything. But later that night, and this was the first time, I must admit, at that time it had been 15 years, that I had ever come across like something I could actually say was a doorway or a portal. It literally felt like you could walk across the room and just walk right through the cement wall in the basement. It didn't feel like it was right. It didn't feel like it was there. And everybody, no whether or not they had gift or not, felt that there was something wrong in that corner of the basement. But doing the EVP, some nasty things came out. We don't know what they were, but it was probably the first time I was actually physically hurt. Myself and several other people were actually physically hurt.
How?
Well, for me, I instantly felt as though there was something that had reached in from behind me and was inside me and ripping me apart.
Ouch.
Yeah. To the point where I put my hand over the area that hurt and I could feel fingers and knuckles under my skin. That's the first time I actually started to get afraid. There were several other people. They had the same thing. They were on their knees. There was one girl that started throwing up, and she ended up in the emergency room because they couldn't get her to stop vomiting. The other woman was carried out by her fiance because she was in so much pain. At that time, they stopped the videotape and turned the lights on, and I almost fell to the floor, but I was able to stop myself. They got me upstairs and they said, "Oh my God, you are so white. You could be dead right now." I'm like, "Great, I must look fantastic." Well, I am also diabetic, and I tested my sugar, and it had gone from 127 down to 57 within a 40-minute period. It just they just sucked and drained everything. Everybody was exhausted. So yeah, that was probably the first time I was actually afraid for myself.
I got chills just listening to that.
Yeah, we have not been back. We've been in contact with the family. We did some blessings and some salting of the house the best we could afterwards. The last we heard, things had settled down, and then since that time, they've not answered emails or phone calls. We do believe that they have finally left that house.
You know, as a mother, and I know because you're a nurse, you're a very compassionate person. It must be very hard for you to work on cases where there are children involved.
Whenever I hear that there are children or elderly, I do my best to get into that business, home, facility as soon as possible, because I know that's not something you need to wait around on.
Yeah, that's what I meant by your compassion. That
Yeah.
You and I have to take our first break. Please stand by. Thank you so much for joining us, Tinamarie. And Exonation, Tinamarie Ronan is our very special guest, and she likes to be called Tina. And Tina's website is facebook.com/Nature's Earthware. That's facebook.com/Nature's Earthware. And there's another one here I'm going to give out at facebook.com/Heirloom Haberdashery. And we'll talk to Tina about that later on in this hour. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And if you'd like to send me an email, give me your comments, give me your feedback, give me your complaints like you usually do. XZone at XZoneRadioTV.com. And Tina and I will be back. Don't go away. I've got to share something with you, X Zone Nation, before I get back to my my guest this hour, Tinamarie Ronan. This bumper that Craig just played, I'm just going to get him to play a little bit. Craig, can you just replay a bit of the bumper you just played? All right, listen to this, guys. Okay, thanks, Craig. Now, here in the radio business, we are cued, or we are trained. We're just like trained seals. You know, you want us to do something, you throw us a fish. You want us to do something, you just play a bumper, and we know what we're supposed to do. Well, my granddaughter has a bit of a nasty streak in her that she gets from her mother, that she gets from me. And she was over to the house a couple of weeks ago on a stay-over weekend. Well, she thought it would be funny if she got my bumpers, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, she kind of crept into the room with her little digital tape recorder and hit that bumper. Here I am coming out of a sleep, listening to a bumper, and the first thing that happens, I think I'm asleep doing the show. The adrenaline kicks in. And here I've got this little 11-year-old killing herself laughing.
Sorry.
And she looks at me with that little angelic face and says, "Gotcha, Papa. Night." She goes to bed. Now, my adrenaline has just shot right through my body. Who needs coffee? I stay awake for the rest of the night. Kids, you gotta love them. That's all right. Her mother thought it was funny, and then I said, "Oh, wait, your turn will come. Payback, karma." I just had to share that with you. Tinamarie, thank you so much for joining us. It's a great pleasure talking to you. When you're doing paranormal investigations, does your ability as a third generation psychic medium come into effect?
It does. I don't usually go out and tell people that's what I am or what what I can do. I usually am just very quiet about it, but they usually clue in when I start talking to someone, not that I speak out loud, I just kind of do it within my head, but they'll see me nod my head, or they'll taking pictures or not getting anything, and I'll just kind of gently point to one corner where they're not taking pictures. So I just kind of quietly do it. But yes, while I'm doing investigating, I do use my gift. Not somebody who runs around and gets the numbers for you to play. No, I'm somebody who speaks to the dead. I'm more an advocate for them than I am anything else.
All right, scratch off questions 18, 19,
Yeah.
20,
Yeah.
21, 22.
Uh-huh.
Okay, all right. What do the dead want to communicate with the living?
Sometimes.
Have you ever come across if you do you do private readings?
No, I do not.
Okay, so let's say that you're in a grocery store with your husband and your children. Do spirits try to connect with you to give somebody in the immediate area a message?
Oh, yeah, that happens all the time. My family's used to it. They just kind of roll their eyes and go their separate way.
We
Yeah.
don't know her.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh God, Mom's doing it again. But there are times where out of the corner of my mouth, I'm like, I'm saying, shut up, stop talking, shut up, because there are times when they get so loud, I can't hear the person who's talking to me that they want to talk to, because they get so loud.
Right.
And there are other times where I feel it's appropriate, and I may pass on the message. And then there was the time when it was a Mennonite minister's wife whose sister had passed, and she wanted me to make sure I contacted her. That still hasn't happened. I have the info, but that still hasn't happened. I don't know that I will ever find the perfect time for that to happen. So you just kind of have to judge and gauge whether or not it's the right time or the right person, and whether or not they would accept it. And the few that do know about my gift, usually within a few months after someone has passed, or there's even been one time where it was a year, and they called me up and said, listen, I know you talked to Mom or you saw Mom. Tell me what she said. I'm like, are you sure? Do you want the truth? Yeah. You just, again, you got to gauge.
Yeah.
You got to decide for sure whether or not they're really ready for it. I think the hardest one I ever did was a good friend whose son had committed suicide. And after the funeral, him and his wife got on the phone and said, we need you to come up and talk to us. I'm like, guys, I don't think this is the time. No, we need this. And they were in tears and begged.
Oh, gosh.
And I did come up and I spoke with them and told them some things. A lot of the things they were very happy about, and some of the things just tore their heart out. But they wanted the truth. And I kept saying, are you sure you're ready for this? Are you sure? But I think it helped the beginning of the healing that they needed to go through. They needed to hear what he had to say at the end. So, yeah, there's good ones and there's hard ones. Like when people are missing and someone will call up and say, I know you can help me. You're the only one, help me. And it was a friend of a friend, and her brother was missing, and being with him right up to his last moment before he had taken his own life. That's hard. That's a hard one. And sometimes you see things you just can never unsee. So good and bad.
You know, listening to you and talking to you, and as I said before, the fact that you're a nurse tells me that you're a very compassionate person. The fact that when there's a problem involving children or the elderly, you're right there. Do you think that this is part of the reason why you were given this gift, is because you can handle it, you know how to handle it, and you have an excellent sense of judgment?
I'm hoping that's why God thought I should have it.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, it comes with good parts and bad parts, but that's life.
How do you deal with the bad parts?
I don't keep it. I give it all up to the Lord, because it's not mine to keep.
That's right. Based on the conversations that you've had with those on the other side, what happens at the moment that we leave this meat suit behind and we return to spirit?
From what they will say, what little they will say, usually when you start asking, well, what's it like on the other side, they kind of get mum. They don't really talk a whole lot about it, other than to say it's good. They love being there. The connections with those that have passed other than when we first go, that there's just utter peace, utter contentment. I don't know how many other psychic mediums do this, but I'm one of the few people I know that can actually literally straddle the veil, both sides.
Wow.
When I do this, I have a handler. I have somebody that helps me, only because it's not an easy thing to do, and I try not to do it too much. And the reason why is because the temptation to stay on the other side or to be pulled to the other side is so strong. So I have felt some of that peace and contentment, and you want that, but you know you need to stay here and finish your journey. We're all here for a reason, so we just need to do what we have to do.
Do we come back? Is reincarnation real?
I believe it is.
Okay.
I have done past life regressions for myself with another friend, and I've done them for one or two other people. So yeah, I believe we do. I believe we continue to come back until we reach that, I don't know, till we reach our goal of what we're trying to do spiritually, what we're trying to learn, what we're trying to gain, get to the ascension that we're looking for. It may take us several lifetimes.
Can we look at each lifetime as if we're going to elementary school, then high school, then college, then university?
For myself, I
Yes.
can say, yes, that's the way it was for me. I know I am also a Reiki master teacher. When I was learning about Reiki and my master handed me symbols, I knew them. I already knew those symbols. The minute she handed them to me, I was like, I know these. I already know these. And it was if I was able to draw them without looking at them instantly. But it was if I remembered. I just remembered. I'd done these before. I knew what these were. I knew what these could do.
Something that confuses me a bit is that when we've had many of mediums on the show over the years, and they talk about how somebody, let's say somebody's daughter will come to them and ask them to connect with the dearly departed one on the other side. And I've often wondered, well, what happens if that person is already reincarnated? Is there still a connection to be made?
There is. This is something that I have had asked of me before.
Okay.
I have also had Reiki students that say, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in any other higher power. I am just here. So who do I connect with? And I actually had to wait and just kind of reflect on that answer. What I got back, what I got out of it, the answer that was given to me was search out or seek out your own higher self. It's as if we leave a portion of ourself on the other side, no matter who we are, no matter what lifetime we're living, whether we've been reincarnated, we're back here, we still have a piece of ourself on the other side. It's kind of like you've been born, but you still have this string, this connection to your higher self on the other side, so that when you go through this lifetime, when you learn, you bring it all back and it goes right back into your higher self and you learn.
All right, Tinamarie, please stand by. Exonation, Tinamarie Ronan is our special guest. www.facebook.com/Nature's Earthware. That's www.facebook.com/Nature's Earthware. And we'll both be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away now. Welcome back, everyone. Tinamarie Ronan is our special guest. Here's a couple of Facebook pages for you to check out. The first one is facebook.com/Nature's Earthware. That's facebook.com/Nature's Earthware. And the second one is facebook.com/Heirloom Haberdashery. That's Heirloom Haberdashery on Facebook. Tinamarie is a full Reiki master teacher. She is the creator of Metaphysical Jewelry and Gear, creator of steampunk jewelry and apparel. She's a lecturer and a teacher of metaphysical classes. She's a paranormal investigator, metaphysical discussion group leader, director of the Southwest Michigan and Northern Indiana chapter of Psychics Unite. She's a third-generation psychic medium and a second-degree black belt and instructor in a Songaham. Why do they make those words so hard? Why don't we just say Taekwondo? There we go.
That'll work.
And the best part that I highly respect her for the work that she does as a nurse. So once again, thank you for all the help that you've given to all the people who've had the fortunate to be under your care. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
What's the coolest thing you've seen while investigating, my dear?
I would have to say the coolest thing I'd ever seen was I've been to Waverly Sanitarium in Kentucky a couple times, and the first time we went, we were on the third floor, and it's a TB sanitarium, so we were one of the outside patient rooms, but you could see into the inside where the other rooms were. As you got sicker, you went to inside rooms. We're out on the porch, my friend Karen and I, and we had the SB7 running. We're asking questions when all of a sudden we both see walking down the hallway in full period garb a nurse, but you could see through her, but she had like the white cuffs halfway up her sleeve, the hat, the whole 9 yards. And I'm hitting Karen, do you see that? She goes, yeah. And then the person disappears. We both looked at each other. Damn it, neither one of us picked up our camera. You're so excited to see that.
Let me ask you something. Why is it that these spirits stay and tolerate people investigating them at different haunted locations like the Waverly?
I think some of them really are spirits that are there that are either trapped because they don't know they've passed, or they don't think that they deserve to pass over.
Geez.
Or they're there like there was a doctor that many of the patient spirits say is there. Now, I have not encountered him, but they mention him frequently. And then that nurse, I don't even know if she's really there or if she's just something that reoccurs a lot, because we're not the only ones that have seen her.
Is it possible that spirits stay in a certain location because it's home to them?
It very well could be. Everybody's got a different answer for that. The few times I have asked, they have just said, well, this is where I'm supposed to be. Oh. And I don't know. Like I said, it could very well be that they're mixed up, that they think that life is going on, that they haven't ended, or that they're just not comfortable crossing over. Let's face it, there's been a few people in life that have done things that they know where they're going to go when they die, and they don't want to go.
Maybe the spirit world is the proof that people are looking for, that time really does not exist except on this plane of reality that we call life. Mm-hmm. What is the SB7 that you spoke about?
An SB7 is a piece of ghost hunting equipment. There's the SB7 and the SB11. Have you guys ever heard of a Frank's box or a ghost box?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, an SB7 is just kind of like a hyped up one where, like a Frank's box, you hear as it goes through the radio channels with the belief that a spirit will come through during the white noise. Where like an SB7 or an SB11, it goes, it's so fast that if you're getting 3 or 4 words, you've just gone through 15 radio stations, so it's not a single station that you're hearing.
Sure. It's basically a multi-band channel scanner.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Right. So, but yeah, when we used it at Waverly that first time I went, we weren't getting just single words. We were getting full-on sentences.
Wow.
And that was the best we'd ever had at work for us.
Have you ever encountered anything else than spirits while doing an investigation?
creeper down at Waverly, but I think the coolest thing that I have ever encountered was there is a cryptid that I have seen. And it's in Lower Michigan, and at a cemetery that's just literally in the middle of nowhere. I've gone there before, and it's got the lovely trifecta of shadow people. UFOs have been seen there, and it has a cryptid. So this cryptid is wild looking. A lot of people said, it's the Dogman. No, it's not Dogman. This thing is probably about the size of like what a Great Dane would be, about that big when it's full grown. It has, it kind of reminds me of Gollum from Lord of the Rings, but with a more pronounced, dog snout. Not all the way. It's as if a human were starting to form into a dog, and it got stuck halfway.
I think I went out with her one night.
Yeah. Prom date, huh?
Yeah, well, that's, you know what the difference between a fox and a dog is, right?
Yeah.
4 Jack Daniels on an empty stomach.
No, this one had gray skin, patches of black fur here and there. And if, it could have, somebody said, oh, well, it's just a dog with mange. No, I'm sorry. I was close enough that I saw this thing. It was crouched down. From the way it was crouched, the way its leg was bent, it very easily could have stood up if it wanted to and be about little over 5 foot high. And its front paws had a third knuckle. That's how close I was to this thing. Huge, huge teeth, larger eyes than a human would have, and very luminescent. The eyes, like an animal, when you flash a flashlight, they look yellow or green. That's what these eyes look like. And it was actually facing a different direction than where I was. And all of a sudden it turned its head very slowly, looked directly at me. At that time, I really had to go to the bathroom, but I held it. And then it blurred. And I realized later that it blurred because it moved that fast that my mind couldn't see it moving. It just blurred and it was gone.
Unreal.
It was. And that was the time I questioned my sanity, because at that time, ghost hunting was all my mind could handle, not UFOs, not cryptids. So seeing my first cryptid was really, really not scary, but really mind-opening, because I was like, okay, there really is other things out there.
An unexpected experience that caught you basically by surprise. You mentioned shadow people, and I'm hearing a lot of shadow people talk from the different paranormal groups and people we have on the show. What is it with all the shadow people that are now being tracked or seen?
I'm hearing that too, and I am seeing more, and I couldn't tell you why. That there are more, other than maybe people are more aware of them, and because of the ghost shows are out there, because of the groups that are willing to teach people and those that have learned, maybe we're more just aware of what's out there, where before it was, oh, that's just the dog or the cat making the noise. That's not something. So maybe we're just being more aware of what's actually around us, and now we're starting to see them.
And if we're starting to see shadow people and cryptids and so on, what else can we expect to see more of? Are we looking at the opening of portholes from other dimensions into ours? Are we experiencing something that is going to lead us to bigger and better things?
Boy, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I would love to give you an answer, but I don't have that one. It's one that's on my mind too. And one I'm not getting an answer from anybody on.
You also mentioned UFOs that were seen in this place where the cryptids and the shadow people were.
Yes, 2 different occasions that I know of, because I was there. Other than that, I couldn't tell you if anybody else has. The first time was the time that I had seen the cryptid. Yeah. And I kept my mouth shut because I didn't want anybody to know, because I'm like, okay, it's enough I saw a cryptid. I'm not going to tell people what else I saw. Until several months later, I finally talked to somebody and said, listen, I just got to talk to somebody and share this. And I started to talk about the night that we had been at this cemetery, and the lady goes, oh, you saw the UFOs too? I'm like, oh, thank God. I'm not crazy. Come to find out that 5 different people had seen them that same night, but we had all kept our mouth shut because we didn't want people to think we were crazy. But it happened the same way, where we just kind of like, listen, I've got to share something with you. And everybody just kind of said the same thing. So
You're not going to believe this, but
right.
gotcha. You and I have to take our final break. When we come back, we're going to be wrapping up this hour with our special guest, X-Zone Nation, Tinamarie Ronan. Here's 2 Facebook pages I'd love you to check out, X-Zone Nation. Facebook.com/Nature's Earthware and Facebook.com/Heirloom Haberdashery. And we'll both be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Now, X-Zone Nation, I'd just like to let you know that Larry Lawson, the host of Paranormal Stakeout, who used to be on the network, is back home with us. In fact, we're going to be doing Larry's first show later on tonight. As he comes back, he's going to be speaking to Professor Stephen Brody. So it's going to be a great show, and we're thrilled to have Larry back. Not only is he a good friend, not only is he a former law enforcement partner, but he's also one heck of a paranormal investigator. So Paranormal Stakeout with Larry Lawson is back here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. And if you'd like to see all the programming we have available for you 24/7, 365, just go to www.xzbn.net. We'll be back after this break as we wrap up this hour. Don't go away. And welcome back, one and all. Tinamarie Ronan is our special guest, and here are those 2 Facebook pages again, Facebook.com/Nature's Earthware and Facebook.com Heirloom Haberdashery. First of all, Tinamarie, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's a great pleasure talking to you, and I love the way you think, and I love your compassion and what you do for why you do it. So thank you.
Thank you.
You've mentioned Reiki a number of times. Is there a connection between Reiki and the paranormal?
Other than the fact that it does use some energy, not really.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, for me, it was just Reiki, the paranormal, Taekwondo, being a nurse. To me, it was a path I needed to get to. It was a path that led me to Reiki, and I love doing it. I love working with people. I love helping people, and it has given me a way to help those who have no hope, especially those who are doing ongoing cancer treatment and just are not getting anywhere.
Right.
Sometimes Reiki is the thing that gets them through.
Hands-on healing.
Yes.
Gotcha. I have to read this to the listeners because I found it rather amusing. What is a slider? All right, listen to this. And this is from Tina herself. A slider is someone who causes street light interference. Have you ever heard of a person who puts out street lights or light bulbs? That's a slider. We cannot do it on demand. It is unfortunate. It is an unfortunate side effect of being able to manipulate energy. When we aren't in control, super uber pissed off or mad, it can happen at the end of a very long, exhausting day. And when you just want to zone out, it can happen. When we let go of control during an extreme emotion or just really zone out, unfortunately, it also happens to other electronic equipment besides lights, like computers, other electronics of cars, and electronic equipment. Super uber pissed off. I love that phrase.
Oh, yeah. There's been a few of those times.
So you're a slider?
I am. I wasn't something that I knew about until probably, maybe about 10 years ago, there was finally a name for it. And I was like, well, crap, that's what's been going on. But no, even as a teenager, I was the weird kid in school. When we finally got a Coke machine in the high school, everybody go up, put their 50 cents in, back when it was 50 cents.
Wow.
And then they would get their Coke. Well, every time I walked up to the machine and went to put my money in it, it would go, psh, psh, and there would be like sparks and the lights would flash and it would go out. So after the third time, literally, not joking, I stood up to go to the machine, and the football team, half of them stood up, blocked my way, and said, just give us your money, we'll do it.
Oh, my gosh.
So I was no longer allowed to touch the Coke machine.
Are you allowed in Las Vegas?
I am, but I don't gamble, so I think we're good.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I have much more control now than I did as a teenager or anything else. And that's actually another way that led me to Reiki is I found somebody who was talking about psychic, being able to, psychic protection and what to do. And I talked to that person and asked her, I said, have you ever heard of anybody that can blow out like light bulbs and stuff? She goes, oh yeah. Well, I burst into tears because I was like, oh, thank God somebody understands. And she worked with me and taught me how to control myself.
It must be very hard for a child who has these gifts. Number one, doesn't know what they are. Number two, doesn't know how to control them. And number three, nobody believes them.
Well, I think my mother had an idea of what was going on, but didn't say anything. I know our family went through 3 air conditioners that they swore to God were hit by lightning, but I'm pretty sure it was me. My father, as well as my husband, they would buy like boxes, like a gross of light bulbs until I learned to control it. So things are better now.
How does your husband, or how did your husband deal with your ability to manipulate electricity before you learned how to control it? Like, he must have been walking on eggshells at certain times.
Well, here's the thing. He didn't believe me. He's still not somebody who understands or even wants to believe in the paranormal. He is the one person in my life who helps keep me grounded.
Okay.
Because he's not somebody, he doesn't ghost hunt or do anything. So it truthfully was actually starting to affect our marriage. And when I found that my teacher, when I explained to her what was going on, she goes, oh, honey, we just need to work together. I can help you. That's why I burst into tears, because I knew she was going to save my marriage.
Wow.
And I came home, told my husband what I was going to do. And he goes, look, if you think you're popping light bulbs, okay, fine. He goes, if you think this person can help you, go do it. But since that time, and since I've gotten control, he now is starting to understand and believe, and he's seen and heard some things since then that now he's questioning at least.
I'm sure those 15 bolts of lightning had nothing to do with it, right? Lightning strikes in the middle of a beautiful sunny day.
Yeah,
What was that you were saying, dear?
Yeah.
What are your final thoughts that you'd like to share with the X-Zone Nation tonight about the paranormal and the way that we humans should interact with it?
Oh, thank you. This is a good one. This is also one of my pet peeves. Stop provoking.
Yeah.
Stop calling names. Stop doing things just to get a reaction. For the love of God, these are people. They're people who used to be your neighbors, your friends. They're human beings. Treat them with respect. Treat them as though you would want to be treated. Just treat them nicely.
Yeah. It's I find it very disturbing to hear that there are ghost investigators and researchers out there, or teams that actually go out and provoke.
Yes.
It shows a total lack of respect.
Mm-hmm.
And I often wonder why anybody would do what they're doing. Is it the thrill? Is it to try and get their 15 minutes of fame? Or is it just sheer ignorance?
I think it's all three.
Yeah. Tell me about the classes that you teach.
Certainly. I do a lot of teaching of metaphysical classes. One of my best ones that I like to teach is Intuition 101, basically just teaching people how to relax, drop down into the zone, and to access their own natural intuition.
Love
In
it.
102, we go a little bit further, and I do lots of other different classes.
During the show, I've been giving out 2 Facebook pages. The first one is Nature's Earthware, and the second one is Heirloom Haberdashery. Tell me about the Heirloom Haberdashery.
Certainly. I love creating things. It started off with just steampunk. Now I do not just steampunk, but I do a lot of hats. The hats are my biggest thing that everybody likes. So I do steampunk hats. I do elegance hats. The newest thing I've been doing is, have you guys ever heard of Burning Man, or like the raves that are in the desert?
No.
Well, yeah. Oh, we're big here in the United States. We love anything that we can party at. So having a big rave or a party in the desert, Electric Daisy, these are big parties. That mostly it's young people out in the middle of nowhere having these great big parties. Well, their big thing is they like to take different types of hats, and one of them is old marching band hats, and just blinging them out with Swarovskis and all kinds of cool stuff. So I'm doing Burning Man hats now. And another division of Heirloom Haberdashery is I am taking Grandma's old Sunday hat that is up in the closet collecting dust and balled up in the corner, and instead of having people throw them out, I'm taking them and I am rehabbing them, and I'm either turning them back into the glory they once were, or rehabbing them so that you can wear them now with jeweled pins and feathers, and it's cool. I love it, and I love bringing those things back to life.
Well, let me ask you something. Would these raves in the desert be equivalent to my generation's Woodstock?
Yes, but with a lot more neon.
Less drugs.
I don't know. Haven't been to one.
Yeah. They were the good old days.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They were the days before I was a cop.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Listen, Tina, I want to thank you ever so much for joining us. It's been a great pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
I love the way that you think, and I love your attitude towards children and the seniors, and the fact that you're a nurse just makes you a super person in my books.
Well, thank you.
Can you give our listeners the best way to contact you? And if they'd like to see some of the haberdashery that you do, and if they'd like to buy some of your haberdashery, what's the best way to do it?
Well, I have 2 Facebook sites for my company, the facebook.com / Nature's Earthware, and it's Ware, W-A-R-E. That's for all the metaphysical jewelry, as well as all of my different classes that I teach are on there. And then Heirloom Haberdashery, also on facebook.com, and that's all the different steampunk gear, apparel, and hats that I do. And if there's a hat you like, if it's still available, and they go fast, people, just give me a contact. Just contact me there, private message, and I can check you out through PayPal and send it to you in the mail.
You're a great lady. Love having you back on the show in the near future.
Oh, definitely.
Take care, and thanks very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Exonation, my guest this hour has been Tinamarie Ronan. Once again, 2 websites. Go visit them out. Everybody looks good in a hat. www.facebook.com / Nature's Earthware, and Ware is spelled W-A-R-E, and facebook.com / Heirloom Haberdashery. I am Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone, and I'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue investigating the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Talkstar Radio Network, iHeart Radio, Simul Radio, and Simul TV. Don't go away.